Where I got to last time in this series of videos was what you can see here. The moon has a kind of a happiness index. I guess it has an amount of bliss, and if that bliss is over 50, then the moon looks happy. And the stars, they want to steal that bliss. So every time the moon goes close enough to a star to touch it, it loses 10 of its bliss. And if it gets down below 50, which is going to take a long time in this case, the moon looks sad. So that's the basic kind of state mechanics of my game. There's still a few rough edges, but in this example, what I'm going to do is tie the state and the behavior of these characters to the larger state of the game. So going from the start of the game to the game itself to the win or the lose screen and then back again. Let's get out of this little screenshot, and I can already see just one thing I need to fix up is in the moon. I shouldn't let the bliss go over 100, because otherwise you could just kind of save up lots and lots of bliss, and it would never really be very fun if you couldn't be sad. I mean, you need the dark times to appreciate the good times. So I'm going to say if this dot bliss is greater than 100, this dot bliss equals 100. So we just cap it at 100. Okay, so now I've more or less got everything I need. I'm going to actually turn off the visual debugging that I added in here just by commenting out the calls to show debug in moon.js and star.js. Just comment that out. And I'm going to add a few more stars to my sketch. I'm going to try adding 10 to begin with, and I'm going to put them at a random position. A random width and a random height. Okay, so there's some stars on the screen. Now, if I move close to one, it's going to get some of the bliss and go back to twinkling. And then it's going to move in some direction. It's quite fun, actually. The stars are aligning, as they say. So what we need to do is two things we need to check is, have we got so sad that the moon has lost all of its bliss? So the bliss of the moon has gone to 0. Or have we got enough bliss, like more than 100 bliss, that we've actually won the game? So those are the two states that we need to check for. So basically, I need to go back to my sketch of the different game states and think about how do I control them using these things. So this is from the other example that I did. So let me update that for this game. Basically, we've got a start screen, and pressing the space starts the game. We've got the game, and from that, if we get 100 bliss, we win. And if we get moon 0 bliss, we lose. And from either of those, we can press any key to go back to the start. Okay, so that's what I'm going to implement. So where should we check for the winning condition, right? So we would actually check that in the game. When we draw the game, after we've updated the moon and shown the moon and updated all of the stars and shown all of the stars, and we've got the score, we can then at that point check for a win. So if score is greater than or equal to 100, this dot state equals win. Otherwise, we can also check if moon.bliss is less than or equal to 0, this dot state equals lose. So let's try and win the game. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, 120. It's not changing. It's not changing. Okay. I've said this dot state. So for the game is not, I've not made the game an object here. It's just a global variable state. So when I say this dot state, it's not actually updating the correct variable. That was a good one. That was a good problem to find. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Max bliss. Then we need to say, then we need in our key pressed function, what we actually need to do is make. So check the state here. So if state equals start, state equals game, else if state equals win, state equals start, we go back to the start, else if state equals lose, we also go back to the start. You could combine those two into use an or. So if state equals win or state equals lose, go back to the start. I just find it's easier to check them individually. Conceptually, it's easier to check them individually. So we've got all of our different states there now. So I'm not actually sure if it's possible to even lose this game, because if you think about it, by the time you've gotten 100 points, that's how many points you've got to lose. So I think what we should do is set our moon so that it starts off with a few less points, right? So if I start my moon with not 100 bliss, but maybe if it's only got 60 bliss. So it's only a little bit happy. Let's try and lose. It's already sad. Oh, lose is not defined. Sketch.js. I called it end, not lose. I wanted to avoid language about winning and losing in this game because it's meant to be a delightful game. Line 108, state equals end. And I probably need to change that to state equals end. Yep. Moon too sad. Oh. Play again. Now we have another interesting problem. Can you see here, like I got to the end and then I pressed to play again and then I pressed to start the game, but it's immediately gone to moon too sad, and that's because I need to reset the state of my game each time I restart it. Because if you think about what's happening here, actually the moon still has like negative bliss, right? And all of those stars are either doing whatever they were doing before. I haven't reset my game. So often it's a good idea to have a function that resets the game. So let's use that. So I'm going to say setup, draw start. I'll put this setup game before the draw. So I'm going to say function setup game. So it's not the setup function, but it's it is a kind of a setup function. It's setting up the game specifically. And I'm just basically going to take all of that code there and put it into the setup game function. Because these ones in the setup function up top there, they're basically setting up things like the image mode and text alignment. They're not actually dealing with the game state as such. So I just call that once on the first time through, and then I need to call it again every time that I start the game. So when I switch from the start screen to the game screen, which actually is here in this key pressed, if I'm in the start and I want to go into the game screen, I actually need to set up the game at that point. There is a problem, and I'll show you that in a moment too. So here we've got actually now 20 stars. Moon too sad, star bliss. Now I've got 30 stars. And I haven't reset the score in that. So part of the problem is that this setup game function, it actually doesn't do all of the resetting that I need. And if you think about the values that I gave to these variables at the start, score equals 0, stars is an empty array, I need to do that in here as well. So in setup game, I need to say score equals 0 and stars equals a new empty array. So just get rid of all of the old stars and create some new ones. Oh, I've misspelt it. It should just be stars. Yeah, so that's just 10 stars. Let's see if we can. Moon too sad, star bliss. Let's take a little bit easier, moon. Oh, she's got sad, happy, sad, happy. Become happy again. Become happy. Yes, it's happy. Oh, it's sad. I don't know if I can risk giving away any. Oh, there, I can do it now. Max bliss, star bliss. Moon too sad. Yeah, so the reset is working now. One last thing I would like to do, I'd like to make this moon sort of a little bit more like, it's a bit boring that it just follows the mouse cursor. So what I'm actually going to do as one last bonus feature, and I might do that in the final video of this series, is make it so that you can click somewhere on the screen and the moon will start moving towards that spot, and then you kind of click to move the moon around. And we could maybe add some elements of skill around that. I'll do that in the next one. It'll be like a bonus final segment, only if you're super interested in that. Thank you very much for watching. Happy creative coding, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with based on this game.